I have got Justin Carpenter back on the channel. Really excited because he did 11-day juice, pretty much juice only, fruit only over the solstice, and then 8 days water fast. And now he's fully raw vegan. I can't wait to share this experience with you. I do apologize for my audio in the interview, mine personally, me to blame, but hopefully it's okay. Just enjoy the receive, and yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All Justin's work is in the description box as well, so enjoy. Hello everyone, welcome to Rawlicious. We've got Justin back on the channel. I'm really excited to be chatting with you again, Justin. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I love all your content and all you do for everybody. So any which way that I can hop on and help, I'm more than happy to. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. We're going to discuss about your journey so far, because you seem to have shifted. You've in your diet side. We'll also talk about other things, but I really want to focus on what you're consuming at the moment and why, that the mindset behind what you're putting into your vessel, and what you're actually eating at the moment, because people are really curious to know the reasons why and what you're actually doing. So you did a big shift over Christmas, the solstice. So would you share that journey for us?
Yeah, sure. So the solstice, the winter solstice, is a great time to cleanse because this is astrologically aligning towards these celestial bodies, which is when the sun literally goes into a 3-day, 3.5 day period where it rises and sets in the same location every single day, for that time period. So normally, as the year's progressing, the sun is moving incrementally as the days go on. But for these 3 days, the sun sets in the same exact spot. So the sun dies for these 3 days, which is allegorical for the time that Jesus was in the tomb, which is an allegory for us. And so this is all about us to find this space of stillness and to find a space of cleansing. So fasting during this time period is hugely beneficial to align with this creation that we're all a part of, this celestial bodies that are always emitting energies. And if we align with them, then we're able to tap into them in a lot better ways. So I participated in it was about 11 days of just fruit, 100% fruit, mostly juice, just high juicy fruits, for 11 days. And then I shifted from that to a water fast. And that was for 8 days where I was just on water. And that took me through the solstice. So from the 21st through the 24th. And then I broke my fast on the 25th. And I broke it with fruit, and I've stayed with primarily fruit and then shifting into salads at night. So I'm 100% raw,
Wow.
just fruit and salads, which has been great. And I've really enjoyed the sort of rebuilding phase after that. And I found a lot of benefit. So recently I've been experimenting with Irish moss as a sort of natural mineral supplement to take. And I've really enjoyed the sort of revitalization that's happened because of that. So I think that's a really helpful tool for people to use after, because cleansing, detox, and these moments they're so powerful to go into these deeper levels of healing, to where we're letting the body really address whatever it needs to address and take care and get rid of gunk and move through these areas. But then the rebuilding phase is also just as important, after we come out of a cleansing period, to have that really focus on revitalizing and rebuilding. And so the Irish moss is such a great tool to use, because it's got, like, I think 92 out of about 100 and some odd minerals that our body is looking for. And so it's just a really mineral packed punch.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to add to smoothies or salad dressings or whatever else. So that's what I've been doing every day, is just having a scoop of that. Like, I'll make a gel with the sea moss, and you can find videos on how to do this. Add a scoop of that gel to my salad dressings every night. So I make a raw salad dressing just by blending up some things. And I'll add that to my salad. And so that's been my meal consistently. And it feels wonderful to step into that space, to be rebuilding in that kind of way. And then since then, I've actually just yesterday, I jumped back into another juice cleanse because I'm going to be doing uh, the Zen cleanse here in a couple of days, which I'm pretty excited about as well. So I've never done that, but just really want to really have a punch at the mucoid plaque and get a bunch of that
Oh,
stuff out. So it should be exciting to see what happens within that. But I wanted to preface that with another juice only cleansing period as well. So that's kind of where I'm
well,
at currently.
what's the Zen? What's the Zen cleanse?
Yeah, it's a bunch of enzymes, and it's all made from whole fruit and vegetables. But it's this company in Hong Kong, and they've got this really beneficial formula that just concentrates these enzymes, and it really targets the mucoid plaque and helps to get it out of your body. So when you take this, they've got a protocol, and it helps to really hone in on this gunk that's stuck on our intestinal walls
Mm.
and really get it out. And I had a friend who did it just a couple of days ago, and he shared his pictures of what came out of him, and it was just like crazy, like these long, nasty. I mean, we've all seen pictures of mucoid plaque,
Yeah.
but like he got it, and it was because of this stuff that this came out of him, and so I'm yeah, so I'm really excited to dive into it myself, and he's not the only one that I've heard who's done this. It was actually Casey Vegetable Police who got me onto the idea because
Oh, really?
he's he's back on the fruitarian path and or raw vegan primarily, which is exciting to see. But he attributes his ability to shift by doing this Zen cleanse on getting all this gunk out of him, and it is really helping him with his digestion and everything else. So it seems like an amazing thing, but I'll have to report back
How
after I
long?
go through it.
How long
It's
does it
just
take?
yeah, it just takes you do the protocol for a day, and then for the next few days you're releasing. But I actually got the
Oh,
rainbow cleanse, which yeah, so it's powerful, it's very potent, and seems to work quite well. So it's not the cheapest, so that's the only kind of drawback. But it seems to be quite effective. So I'm excited to dive
I
into
am.
it and see what happens.
I'm skeptical though with it because I've seen like so many like with the turpentine and things like that protocols, and I'm just wondering because it's that strong. Because normally with a juice cleanse, it takes at least 30 days. Some people have released it if they've eaten raw for a few years. They can release it within 15 days. But I haven't seen anyone do it less than that. So I'm really curious to see what happens because if people can do that without doing the 30, 60, 90, 200 days of juice cleansing and do it in a much
Uh,
shorter period.
Yeah, I was pretty skeptical too. I heard about it maybe about 8 months ago, and I was like, no, that sounds too good to be true. But I just kept hearing about it. I kept hearing more and more people trying it, and more people having success with it, showing pictures of what came out of them. I'm like, okay, all these people can't be full of shit. So there's got to be
Yeah,
something to this. There's got to be something to this. And then hearing somebody who's like not affiliated whatsoever just try it and go through it and see it and just authentically share his results. I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty powerful stuff. So it's enough
yeah,
for me to be curious to try it. But I think, we'll see if it works. It could be a really helpful tool to just get people into that high gear of being able to truly assimilate and absorb these high vibrational foods. Because that's the problem that a lot of people run into is, you switch to a more raw food diet, and all of a sudden you experience sudden weight loss, and your strength fades, and a lot of these things can happen because the
mm,
transition is really important, and transitioning sometimes takes a long time, especially just to be able to shift our digestion away from these overstimulating cooked foods that our body's been conditioned to for a lifetime. And so it takes time
yeah,
to move away from that. So this might be something that can help accelerate that process so that people can get into a cleaner state and actually be able to absorb these things. Because the idea behind it is like, when we eat foods in their raw form, they have the enzymes naturally with them to help aid with digestion of those raw foods. But
mm,
because we eat the cooked foods, which have all the enzymes killed out of them, that gunk just accumulates within our gut, and that's what forms the mucoid plaque and causes all sorts of other trouble. And then when we eat the raw foods again, the enzymes are not potent enough to really target those things except for after continued use, so that's why the longer juice fasts and things of that nature, they can help and they will get it eventually. But this might be something that can just help get it faster because they're just really concentrated. Like they've really honed in on this formula to make these enzymes just very potent. So excited to
Yeah,
see.
I am. I'm definitely curious because it's like so many different people experiencing different protocols. I'm actually interviewing a girl who is Annabella. She's here in Copenhagen on Wednesday. She's been doing gravity colonics and turpentine. I've always avoided turpentine, but I'm interested to see what she's got to share with that. She's done 230 days of juicing, and she's
Nice.
only I think stopped recently releasing at least mucoid plaque, and she's still releasing worms. So I'm curious to know how, if it's just mucoid plaque, because obviously mucoid plaque has a lot of the parasites, the biofilms and everything compacted. I wonder if it's going to pull. I wonder if it's a different. I'd be curious to know if it's the worms coming out, because I see people, it's further down the road of raw veganism, juicing, they get to pull out the worms. So let's see what parasites do come out. You'll have to document it.
I'm going to experiment. I've got a special strainer just for that. And so we'll go through and see what happens, see what comes out. But yeah, I've heard about the turpentine as well. It seems very promising as far as being a really good natural parasite cleanse. They really don't like this stuff, and it can help address a lot of other things. So that's exciting that she's working that angle as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking to her on Wednesday. And then from the Zen cleanse, you're going on to an extended juice cleanse, did you say?
No, so I'll probably tail in that with so it's 7 days this protocol I'm doing, because I'm actually pairing it with it. They call it their rainbow cleanse, but it's got the colon cleanse with the liver cleanse. So it's the liver and gallbladder flush. That's very similar to like the Andreas Moritz style with the olive oil and the grapefruit juice, if you've ever heard of that one. But it's kind of their formula that to help make that go a little bit more smoothly. But so it's 7 days of taking the enzymes and then the liver flush, and then I'll pair that at the end with a maybe a few more days of juice, and then start reintroducing whole foods once again. So just have a good cleansing period and see what happens. But yeah, during those 7 days, I'm just going to stay on water and the enzymes, and it's got juice and stuff that they send with it. So there's enough in it to where you'll feel satiated and fine, but I'm not going to add anything to it.
Yeah. And so I think it's good to know as well, before you was doing the cleanse, you, like I said, you was eating raw fruits, whole fruits. So I think it's good to do sort of transition. You don't want to spend all that money and then, if you're not in the right, your mindset and the body wants to be ready for these cleanses. And I think what I've experienced from my clients and myself, do a couple of, like experiments with the fruits and raw, try not go from a standard straight direct to, and sometimes we can make things worse in the sense that, one, you're wasting money, and two, you don't feel as good. You feel like, oh, I can't do it. So let the transition be whatever it needs to be. Is that something you would suggest if you've been on the raw foods, high raw for some time now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did just that, where I jumped far too quickly into the raw food lifestyle. So I switched, went cold turkey, cut alcohol, meat, dairy, eggs, cooked foods, all of it in one go, and jumped straight into a juice cleanse. Did that for 21 days, did a few days of water fast, and then I stayed 100% raw after that point. And it was fine for about, I don't know, 6 months or so. But then I did notice really rapid weight loss. My strength went away. My hair started to fall out. And so this was really, this was a good sign for me. I needed to go through that so that I could help share for others of like, the transition is very important. It's very important to consider how quickly it takes our body to acclimate to shifting gears and moving into this space. So that's why I love looking into people like Arnold Ehret or or Professor Spira, I think his name, that look into the mucusless diet, because they talk about ways that you can have cooked food still as you're transitioning, but as long as you're just staying away from the high mucus forming foods. Or somebody like Dr. Sebi, who looks for a very similar kind of mindset, but he's also got some things where you can still do cooked foods for a bit, but you're staying away from just the nastiest stuff, the stuff that's really poisoning us. And so those two perspectives are great for transitioning as we shift into the higher raw aspects. And then you just add more and more fruit as you start to feel better, as you start to feel more balanced within that. So yeah, and then I know you've talked about the like raw till dinner and having a cooked meal towards the end of the day, and making sure that you're eating as much raw living foods as you can. But if you still need to have that cooked meal, just try and make that a whole foods, definitely plant-based, get away from the animal products, but stay in that space to where you find balance. It's about sustainability. It's not about cutting corners and trying to jump too fast into anything. It's about a lifestyle change. So we can take two steps forward, and we can take one step back and find that safe landing pad and be there and stay there and be comfortable in that space. And then you can, when you're ready to go deeper into cleansing, you take two steps forward. And if you fall back a step again, that's okay, because you've still got that step forward approach. You're still transitioning in the right direction, but we honor the space that we're in. And so the biggest thing for everybody is just to be honest with yourself. Stop trying to fit yourself in a box. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't try and say, oh, look at what they're doing and why can't I do that? And then we get hard on ourselves and we try and do too much, and then it adds up, and then we end up relapsing and going into all sorts of other issues and stuff like that too. So it's really important to be gentle with ourselves and honor the process, honor the journey. It's not a race. It's not us trying to get anywhere too quickly. I mean, granted, if you have a life-threatening ailment, then that's a different story. You're going to have to be more aggressive with what you do. But if you're not in a lot of pain and you're able to sustain in that kind of way, then just be gentle. Take it one step at a time. Honor the process, and it just gets better.
That's something I stress, is the process. We need to love the whole process, the whole journey. We always want to be there right now. That was my mentality for many years. For most people, I see it. But just be gentle and the loving. That's where the loving, learning to love the journey, love ourselves, love the process is critical. And yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. So moving forward for you then is where do you see yourself? Have you got a goal of like being raw? Is there any goals that you have? Are you taking it day by day? Are you going to be high raw, fully raw?
Yeah, I mean, I really do find a balance with staying at least like, I mean, mostly raw, like really the salads and fruit thing, I think is such a great space to be in for me. I found I was full, I was satiated. You just make a big old salad for your evening meal, and I loved it. Everything's raw. And if the thing that I was kind of going back and forth on were like the high fat fruits, the avocados. I definitely noticed I felt better when I took those out, but there's a lot more enjoyment when I have those in. So it's finding the balance in that space. It's finding the balance in that kind of space. But if avocados are now my cheat meal, if that's my junk food that I'm eating now, like, I'm doing pretty good. So I really do enjoy that space. And like I said, I think having that boost of minerals from the sea moss has really helped me find balance in that space that I couldn't find before. To where I was looking for cooked foods and things of that nature. And I don't really have desire for it. I don't really have as much of an inclination to go into that space. So we'll see what I don't make too big of plans. I just kind of take it day by day, but I do plan on probably just going back to the fruit and the big salads and just staying in that space for as long as it feels right. And just looking to incorporate more and more fruit, and just because it's such a simple way of eating. It really takes away all the, because even chopping up a salad, like, it still takes time. Like, it's still time and effort that I could be spending doing something else. And so if I get to that space where it really is just, I'm grabbing some bananas, I'm grabbing a mango, I'm cutting up a watermelon, or just taking a half a watermelon with a spoon. It's so easy to do. So all signs continue to point to just, this is the way to be. We are frugivores. We are designed to eat primarily fruit. It is our species specific diet, and we can try and argue with it and try and come up with all these fun different ways and otherwise. But that's where we get to. That's the highest form of physical food. And then you talk about later, like far down the road, again, I don't want to say these kind of things and have people get carried away with these ideas, but eventually we move away from physical food as a part of our way of being as well. Like that, we have so many ways of tapping into energy that we don't even explore and we don't even look at. Like we are able to get energy from the sunlight. We are able to get energy from just the breath. We are able to just draw on from the etheric energy around us, the prana. This is something that we have full availability to. And these are much higher forms of energy than physical food. So on a scale of things, the physical food is going to be the lowest form of energy. Fruit is the highest form of the physical food. So if you're going to eat physical food, it should be fruit. But we can eventually move away from where that's not even a regular part of our way of being. But again, this is long ways down the path. This is something that's something we can have in mind, but it's not something that we want to jump to. We've got to honor the process and honor where we are and just be honest with ourselves and enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the space that we're in. Enjoy staying in a high raw space, and enjoy staying, even if you're just having fruit for breakfast. Like, that's a huge shift for everybody to just say, you know what, I'm committed to have fruit every day for breakfast and nothing else. That's huge. That's massive. Like that's a huge step in that space right there. So wherever anybody is, just be honest with yourself and find your comfort zone, and then just keep chipping away at better and better into better and better vitality, because the reward is built into it. It's vitality. It's feeling good. It's a something that you can't lose in that sense, because the better that we feel, the more that we can do, and the more that we can embrace this life experience in more creative and expansive ways. And that's what we're here to do. We're not here to eat. We're not here to just have these sensations and these flavors and spend all this time, preparing meals and that kind of stuff. That's the way society's conditioned us. Yeah. And so we're used to these ideas. Yeah. And it's going to take some letting go sometimes to let go of these things. But really, we're here to create. We're here to be the brightest expression of who we are and continue down that path so that we can just be better and better and better and create and create and create, expand. It just continues in that sort of way. But we kind of lost sight of that. We were conditioned out of that.
We lost, it's so, I feel like there's a lot of freedom when we don't use food, like I was saying, with even my struggles with binge eating. Or anywhere I went where I was uncomfortable, I use food. Or anywhere I go for a new place, I want to try the new restaurant. It becomes a lot of your time, and this takes away from your creations, doing things that really is deep soul work. So I find, the less you have variety, the juice cleanses really opens you up to what's possible. What else can we be doing apart from using food to socialize, to numb, distract? So I find just reframing it, looking at the different aspects of where we can, let's not use food for all our pleasures, because that's what we seem to be doing. And I feel it definitely holds us back. And we see it, those that do cleanses, like you do your cleanse, it opens up more channels. You get so much more clarity. You have more time, but you're more time to look at other areas of your life where you want to expand on, that are really nourishing, truly nourishing to the soul. And I for me, that's what I keep rechecking in with myself. And I have some clients who are severely addicted to, lots of these foods that keeps us, on this 3D, this only way of living, that this is the only excitement they've got. I remember a friend saying, what do you do for fun? You don't drink. you don't go to these cooked restaurants. I'm like, there's so much more, and then I'm like, oh my God, if you take those out, look what other things you could be doing. And I find after they've eaten a cooked meal, they're sluggish for the rest of the day, so they're not really doing anything else apart from sitting in their head not wanting to do anything and slowing down. So it really gives you this new purpose. And I speak to so many on these long cleanses that how good they feel and how much they've changed. They've become a new person. Their desires, their interests have changed, their purpose changed. This is where I find spirituality, the connecting to a much, your higher self, your true self, is when we take out these low vibrational foods.
Yeah, you said it. It's our true self. Like we have to let that conditioned version of ourselves, which is not us. That's what society has conditioned us to be. We have to let that version of us die. We have to let that fade away, because that was the slave that was built. We were built into a slave mindset by all these things that keep us in a bogged down state. That's why they condition us to eat a heavy breakfast first thing in the day. So then you're in that sluggish slave-like mentality all throughout the day. You have no cognitive ability. You have no desire to do anything. And so you just go about your life in this sort of slow kind of like, whatever, whatever. And then we're just controlled. We're controlled to have to do whatever. And the pattern just repeats, and then families, and it's enforced in all sorts of different ways, and we don't even realize it. We think that that's just the way it is, because we've never stepped outside of it. But when you start to go down this healing path, and you finally take that look out, you have that first breath of fresh air. You're like, oh wow, there's so much more. I am so much more. I am not that person that was. I'm not that mentality that existed before. I am so much more. I am a creative being. I'm a sovereign child of God here to explore this creation in only the ways that I know how, and finally figure out who I am and what I'm here to do. But if we don't even start that journey at all, then we're just stay in that stuck slave mentality where we're just a wash of everybody else that's getting controlled, moved into whatever different area, all for that sake of just maintaining that domination, maintaining that hierarchy. And so that's a huge step to break free of that, is truly taking ownership. And that's huge. Just take ownership of your life. But taking ownership of your health is a tangible, easy to see area. And then that kind of helps you to see the other areas where you're not taking control of your life. Where am I giving my power away to whomever? Where am I giving my power away to what other people think about me? Or to what other people have to say? Where am I giving my power away to these addictions and these things that are drawing me into all these different areas? They're all designed to take your power. So we have to reclaim it and step back into who we truly are. And it's major when we do.
Yeah, it really is. And I want to touch on the lead up towards the cleansing. So you was already eating whole foods. You was already thinking about, you was already aware of what you was consuming. There's a higher frequency with the fruits. What was holding you back to go fully raw? What's the mindset behind before you did the cleansing? I'm just curious to know.
This most recent cleansing or the first cleansing, to jump into it?
Yeah, good point. Both really. So what has been the shifts that's been happening? Because everyone has a different journey. Like you've been delving into the matrix and all the the veil that's been going on. Where did the food aspect come into play? And then going towards the raw. There's a lot of answers that you could go there, but I'm curious to keep this open.
Sure. Yeah. Let's just get into it. So the first cleanse that I did was a juice fast back in the end of this was the end of 2020. And that was when that was brought on by both Charlie Freak and Josh X. They really kind of introduced me to this cleansing journey and the truth about what our food is, and I finally got to this point where I can't lie to myself any longer about the fact that what I have been eating is not my food and it's killing me. And so I need to make a change if I want to truly say that I'm here and I'm seeking truth, because I've always been a truth seeker. Like that's been something that's been consistent with me for my whole life. But of course I've fallen into different pitfalls of different, whatever else. And this was just a clear indication to me of like, oh, okay, this is it. And it really came down to, and I think we touched on it in our last conversation too, just this higher purpose behind why we're here. That was really what stuck it to me of like, I'm not here just to eat. I'm not here just to have these sensations where I'm just looking for those quick hits of it's like a drug. I'm not here just for this quick high. I'm here for the exaltation of this whole experience. I'm here to step into who I truly am, and I want to do that. And so that was a big turning point for me to step into this and take that leap of faith and say, I'm ready to embark on this journey. I'm ready to take ownership and take responsibility of the fact that I've been making some poor choices, and say I'm ready to make some better choices. And so I shifted into that period where I went on a juice feast, and I stayed 100% raw for almost a year after that point. But I mentioned I experienced some sort of negative physical things with the weight loss, and the loss of strength, and hair loss, and a couple other things. But it didn't deter me. It just, circumstances kind of changed where I did start to reintroduce some cooked foods, and um, I did feel my body was still conditioned towards those cooked foods, because I did feel my strength and everything come back in those moments. But I knew that this was just a false way. Like I still didn't lose sight of the fact that I know what I'm supposed to be eating, and I know my body is just still catching up to this. So I went through that whole experience just for the purpose I know to share with others. I know to share that, yes, when we go through these kind of things, it's important to be honest about where we are, and really be strategic about how to transition. I was not as strategic in those moments, so I suffered a little bit of the consequences, and that's okay, because now I have that experience to share with others. So I reintroduced cooked foods for probably about 6 to 8 months. Started gaining weight and just feeling bloated and icky, and gross, and all the things that start to accumulate after eating cooked foods for a long time. So I was like, okay, I need to get back to being stringent. And it was really coming back to, because I spent a time back in the US for that time for eating cooked foods. So I was in Mexico for a good bit, eating 100% raw, and then I went to the US. I ate a bunch of cooked foods, and then I came back to Mexico, and that's when I was able to really shift back into the 100% raw, or mostly raw. Like I would eat, things like quinoa or chickpeas, or just really basic stuff for cooked foods occasionally, but it wasn't something that was a regular part of my diet. It was mostly just staying all raw, um, and having big salads and things of that nature. And I did find a good balance within that. And so I think at that point, my body had more time to acclimate and shift into that space. But my motivation always has remained the same. It's like, I'm not here just to have these sensations. I'm not here just for the quick fix. I'm here for the long run. I'm here to experience this creation in the best way possible. And the only way I can do that is if my body is in the best shape that it possibly can be in, to where I feel as good as I can. So I have this clarity so I can share with others, because I love sharing with others. I love speaking with others. I love having spaces where I can communicate in that kind of way. And I don't like the brain fog that comes with eating cooked foods or eating all that other kind of stuff. I don't like how I feel when I'm doing that. So everything points to just the direct experience of like, this is the way, this is the path. And of course, I'm gonna have moments where, like I've had moments where I've slipped up and fallen back, but even those are not losses, because they're just adding to my experience of knowing, okay, I know what it felt like to be raw. Now I know what it feels like to eat the cooked foods after coming off raw, or after coming off a fast, and you feel like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so now I have this whole repertoire of direct experiences that is invaluable. It's not anything I could learn in a video or a book or anything like that. And that's the amazing thing about the healing journey with the food, is you don't have to rely on anybody else. You don't have to listen to me or to Toni or to anybody. You just have to try it yourself, and you'll know, and you'll experience it, and then you'll know, and then nobody can take that away from you. And that's what's so empowering about this journey because it empowers us to really take ownership of this, to where we're not relying on somebody else to tell us what to do. We're not relying on any experts or anybody to tell us how to live or how things to be, or doctors to tell us what health is. No, I'm taking ownership of this space. And then that just cascades into every other aspect of our lives too, to where we're saying, no, I'm taking ownership of every area of my life. And this is not just the food, but every aspect to it. So then we can start to identify these areas that are holding us back. Like you mentioned, addressing all of these issues that are holding us back. And that's really all that we have to do ever. We don't have to add anything to this to better ourselves. All we have to do is focus on letting go of the things that are not serving us, the things that are holding us back. Cut the cords from all those things that are keeping us tied down, and then we just naturally rise. We're like a hot air balloon with a bunch of weights in the basket. All you have to do is just throw out those weights. You just have to keep chucking those weights out the side, and you're just going to keep rising. And it's magical when you start to explore that and stop being a victim to society, stop being a victim to your circumstances, but truly take ownership. Start being a winner, a victor, and say, okay, everything's happening for me. Everything's happening for me to learn in this moment. Everything's here to give me an opportunity to move into a space of higher vibration. I can either take it, or I can sit here and wallow in my misery and just keep repeating this cycle, whichever is available to you. But it's so much more fun to embrace it as an opportunity to learn and expand and to grow. And so that's what I do each and every day as I wake up with this renewed sense of like, man, I got another opportunity to be here. I get another opportunity to do better and to help people see this within themselves. Cause I truly do. I love people, and I see such beautiful, like, I see the highest expression of everyone I come in contact with. And I love guiding towards that reality. I truly do. So because I find it within myself as well. And the more that we shine, it just gets like a brighter place. So
what a
yeah,
nice
so
way to live, hey? It's a better way to live. Who wants to live? Yeah, even I fall trap. We all fall victim into the self pity and the poor me, and I do, and I wallow at times, but the shifts are quicker. But I feel sometimes it's necessary, because when you get to that point, you're just like, okay, let's reflect. Let's have a look what's going on. It's where you can change the pattern.
For the same reason of eating the junk food after you've gone on a cleanse, you needed to have that experience so that you can have that perspective of like, oh no, I don't really want to do it like that anymore. But I needed to have that in that moment.
Yeah.
So there's nothing lost. There's nothing wasted. There's no bad experience. It's all there for us to learn from.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a liberation. It's knowing, like, say, that we're already, if we resonate with this call and us, then you're on the path. You're on that path of soul connection. So it's fun. I've got a puppy running around that's crazy. I haven't seen her yet. She's chewing my feet. She's there. Super sweet. I wanted to ask, if was there any detox symptoms that you experienced just on the recent cleanse? Because are you still experiencing?
Well, recent cleanse, not as severe. The first cleanse it was intense. I had candida die-off and flu-like symptoms and mouth ulcers, and I guess I did get a few mouth ulcers this past time. That's been usually my most common detox symptom, is just getting the mouth ulcers, which isn't fun, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, besides that, I really haven't experienced anything major. I think going into deeper levels of water fasting, I still notice that I don't think I really wanted to go much longer than that, which that in and of itself is a detox symptom. If the more comfortable we are and the more pure we are, we should be able to go much longer than that. And so when we start to feel uncomfortable, that's like, okay, I've still got some work to do in that area, and that's okay. I'm all right with that. But I can't say that I noticed anything really severe this time around, other than just lethargy and feeling tired after a time. I felt great for the first 6 or 7 days, and then it started to pick up pretty. Uh, I started to slow down quite a bit, and I was like, okay, this is time. But that's the time that I set out for, so I was happy with what I did, and
And you
yeah.
honored that? You honored the rest period? Did you take some time out? Would you experience any headaches? Or when you was experiencing how did you move through it?
Yeah. Maybe, I guess I might have experienced a headache or two. But breathing is always a wonderful space to go to, and that's why I love being in Mexico, because it's like it's sunny here and warm here every day, and so just spending lots of time out in the sun, grounding a lot, just having these times. I'll do. I did my intentional movements every day, even while fasting. I love the 5 Tibetan rites. I do those every single day, and I think that's just such a great way to just get some quick movements within. It takes like 15 minutes, but it's such a great way to move the body. So I enjoy doing that. And then yeah, just finding the space of stillness and going into deeper levels of meditation, letting whatever come up, like um, whatever sort of emotional releases, or just dealing with other people, these kind of things happen the way they need it to happen. But it brought everything up to the surface and exactly the way that it needed to, which is, it's always great. And it just helps to, again, when we start to cut away these layers and these distractions, and when we're not eating all the time, or we're not eating all these things that are bogging us down, then we can see with greater clarity these areas of that are holding us back. And
Yeah.
so some areas that I might not have thought were there, they come up to the surface. And so people can react to those kind of things. It's like, oh man, it was the fruit that made me feel horrible. But it's like, no, the fruit just
No,
brought whatever you needed to see to light. It's what it brought it forward so that you can address it, and it's not going to be weighing you down anymore. But
it
yeah.
really does shorten that gap, doesn't it? If you really want to, yeah, get acknowledge, you just know there's some niggles or there's patterns. Some of them are clear, some of them aren't. You go on like whole fruit juices, and it comes up. It comes up very clearly. And you're like, that's why. And triggers, past traumas, you start pinpointing where they've come from. So it can easily release. And sometimes we just naturally just acknowledge and release, and it's done. Not all the time. There's more work, but I do like that aspect of the cleansing, and I can see why so many do the cleanse or go towards this lifestyle, which makes sense, not just for health, but for the mental, the spiritual aspect. So in the emotional aspect, you say you got triggered. Was you getting triggered more initially, sometimes with the detox symptoms, or was the triggers more observation and more a response rather than reaction? Was it a mix, or would you say you was much calmer? Because some people on a detox can be, aggression can heighten. Sometimes mine
Yeah,
does.
I wouldn't I wouldn't say it was aggression was heightened, but it was where I had much more, and I don't know if this was just the circumstances of what kind of happened, but I definitely felt like addressing things a lot more clearly. And it was like, I'm not holding back on what I need to say in these moments. And I'm not really one to hold back on what I need to say anyway. But I noticed during that cleansing period, it was like, no, we're going to talk about this and we're going to address whatever we need to. And it was good. It's always good conversations in that capacity, because whatever we have to go through, it's just good to be honest. It's good to be honest with everyone around us. It's good to be honest with ourselves, and not hold back. And now we don't need to be mean or vicious to anybody, but we need to be clear and direct and honest. And so I found myself being more clear and more direct and more honest in these moments, which were helping me to address those sort of like things that were frustrating me in a way to where I wasn't just going to sit with it. I was going to actually express it, and then we could have
Yeah,
the talk and get through whatever needed to happen. And um, so yeah, I think it's powerful in that, because it really just strips away from any of these inhibitions or things that hold us back normally, and get you to go deeper into whatever it is that you need to go through. And I think,
yeah,
the universe responds to these kind of moments too within our lives. And it's like, okay, you're going on a cleansing period with food or with the physical reality. Here, let me give you a cleansing period with emotions, or with whatever else too. Everything kind of corresponds with this aspect, because creation is all connected. So there's no section or anything where we're ever separate, or whatever we're doing is separate. We always send ripples out into consciousness by whatever it is that we're doing. And so just the act of cleansing physically in those moments is sending that signal to say, hey, it's time to cleanse all layers. Like, let's do this.
Mhm.
And so we get these moments to
Yeah.
really address them and really take care of what we need to.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We sometimes don't always realize what does come up. What we think, oh, we're going to get the physical. When it was like my last long juice cleanse was all emotional, a lot of emotional coming up. I was like, where did all this come from? Not even physical. I didn't experience any apart from a bit of hunger, but it was more emotional, crying a lot. I was like, where are all these tears coming from? And it was such a relief. Oh, it was necessary and needed, and I embraced it. I honored it. I was just a cry. Everything was just coming up, and I allowed it. I just allowed the process. I was like, instead of stuffing my face with food to numb that, I was like, no, I'm just gonna allow this to just surface. So it's interesting to see what detox symptoms people do get, because a lot of think that's just going to be physical, and it's not. Even the spiritual aspect, no, it's questioning. I had a client that actually recently said, no, not religious, not spiritual, don't even believe in all. Like, they were just like, now they're questioning who they are. I've referred them to you, just if you want deeper talk on who we really are. I referred them to the last YouTube video we did, the last call. I was like, well, let's open that up. So it's great to see what actually opens up. So if people are, I like it as well. If we're a little lost, or we're questioning things, then this is going to open up, like, say, more channels and get more clarity and understanding of what's been maybe even niggling us that we didn't even know.
Yeah. And what a gift to have community to go through these kind of things with, to have, for people to have others to speak with, like it,
Yeah,
that is huge, so that's why I love to offer myself. And speaking about things, like we had a wonderful chat on Telegram earlier today where it was like 2.5 hours, almost, yeah, 2.5 hours of just people going over their healing experience and what they've been through and what they're trying and experimenting and what they have questions about. So just having these spaces to where we can share ideas and share what's worked for us and share what we're struggling with is
yeah,
massive, because we're all going through the same stuff, just kind of different little flavors, different little characters here and there, but ultimately, like, it's the same patterns, it's the same society that we're having to pull away from. So we can all help each other out and not feel so isolated and alone, even though by doing this process, you do kind of isolate yourself from the world. And so it's important to find communities that are
yeah,
doing this, that are committed to going in this space, so that it doesn't seem so lonely,
yeah,
because the rest of the world will make you feel lonely, guaranteed.
yeah. And that's it. And this is why reinforce, yeah, to be around others, because you'll always have within yourself as well question when you're questioning, like even through the detox period, or just what's coming up. This is not what we're talking about every day to friends, family. So just having the others that are going through or have gone through it, that can give you some reassurance that this is completely normal, and this is safe, and this is an experience to cherish and love, and knowing that, yeah, it's the safety and knowing that you're okay, you're on the right path, and it's this, yeah, community is big, accountability, community, the knowledge is out there, and we all been called to it, but the support and love that we get from others that are resonating that same frequency, because not everyone is, as we experienced earlier. So it's good to be alongside others that are on that, and that's who then you eventually, they don't seem to come into your life. There's those challenging you, questioning you, what you're doing. That's not good. That's not healthy. And then it reinforces actually what I was doing. I'm doing this. I'm feeling good. And then you start to reconnect who you really are and how you're feeling. Actually, no, I am feeling good. Sometimes you might not be, but that's where we get the support and others that have gone through it before you. So on
Yeah.
that note, then, Justin, sorry, did you want to add?
Oh, I was just going to say, and the faith that you're on the right path is so important as well. Just having that, that, and that's where community can really help with that, to reinforce that when you feel like that faith is wavering. But just having this knowing, like, I am on the right path, and today I might not feel the best. Today I might feel like shit, but I know I'm on the right path, and that's okay. That's okay that I don't feel well. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to keep doing this. Yeah, I'm not going to fall back. I'm not going to go back to these ways, because my body is recalibrating, and that's not always the most painless process. Sometimes it's very painful to go through that,
Yeah.
but having community can really help to reinforce that idea. So yeah.
And on that note, then you do have your Telegram for community and support, live calls regularly, very active. Even I can't keep up with it, but it's amazing, especially the knowledge, the shares, the vulnerable shares. Yeah, it offers so much. So where can everyone find? And I'll put it on the description box as well for those if they are interested in the Telegram. So can you share where you're sharing all this information and where people can get support?
Yeah, sure. So you can always find my stuff on my website, justincarpenter.org, and that's where I kind of catalog everything. It's Telegram's a great platform to connect, but it's hard to find stuff a lot of times. So my website's a lot easier to search through things and find stuff that's been posted. So justincarpenter.org. But then my Telegram channel, the handle is at justincarpenter33 is the Telegram tag name for my channel, and that's where we do pretty regular calls. I usually have at least one call a week with just myself where I just open it up and I don't ever have like a agenda or anything. And I just say, hey, what's on anybody's mind? What do we want to get into? And it's amazing what kind of questions people bring forward. And it's not just related to health, although those questions are welcome, but really any question is on the table, and I go into all ranges of topics. There's nothing off of my table. And so if I know something about it, I'm going to share. And if I don't know about it, I'll happily say that as well. But I've picked up a few things along the way. So I'm happy to share and help people in ways. And then just having community sharing of what other people are experiencing and going through is so helpful, because when we acknowledge that we want to do better and we want to just be better versions of ourselves, then it's very easy to communicate and interact with others who are on that same path, who are tired of the status quo, tired of just living this drab existence that we've been spoon fed our whole lives, and move into this space of truly feeling this revitalization. So the sharing that can happen within that space is quite something. So yeah, those are the two main spaces where I share a lot of material, and we have those conversations, and anyone is more than welcome to join in and ask whatever question. There's no question that's dumb or like you're missing anything or whatever else, because if you have the question, chances are so many other people are going to have that same question, and you were just the brave one that was willing to ask it. And I always appreciate that. I really do. So I'll never turn down anybody or any question that people asked. As long as respect is given, that's all I ask, is just be respectful. And we're here to learn, and we're here to learn together. And I'm no better or different than anybody. I'm just here learning as well. But I'm happy to share what I have learned and share in that process. So that's love doing that and love connecting with people that way.
And just like, what are the main topics? I'd like you to share the main topics for those that are interested. Obviously, there's health, there's the raw path, but there's other topics that are controversial for those that are interested.
Yeah, well, it's I mean, really, it's I'd say the main aspect is just finding out who we are and what we're doing here. What is our purpose here? Connecting with God in whatever way, and you can say God or call it whatever you like. Like, it really doesn't matter. God is the totality of all of this experience, the totality of all of us all together. So call it, whatever. God doesn't care. But it's finding ourselves within this experience and finding ourselves within this creation and shining in the best ways possible. So that's the main focus. And then sort of identifying the lies is a big part of shining into who we truly are, because we've been lied to about everything, every aspect of our lives. And I mean everything. I don't say everything to just kind of like, say it. It's everything. Every aspect that we've been fed by organized society is a lie, from the shape of this realm to what we're supposed to be eating towards, it really doesn't matter. Religion has lied to us. The pharmaceutical industry has lied to us. All corporations have lied to us. The governments have lied to us. Everybody's lied to us in one way or another. But there's absolute hope within that too, because that's the sort of, a controversial aspect of what I talk about.
It's not all doom and gloom.
It's
You're
not
taking your
doom and gloom
power
at
back.
all. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're taking
that's
our
why I
power
love it.
back. And
Yeah,
yeah, and right now we have a team of people who are helping us to find our power once again. And so they're actually in charge of, they've hijacked the matrix and have turned it on high gear in order to piss us off so that we disconnect from it and find our power once again. And so that is not always an idea that's easy for people to relate with, or to step into. And it involves Q and that aspect, which is a topic that a lot of people don't like to get into. But this is very much a team of people who are here working for the highest good and helping us to recalibrate ourselves so that we remember who we truly are, which we're children of God. We are the pinnacle of God's creation, here to create and to be the highest versions of ourselves, and to find ways that we're not being that highest version, and to step into our power truly. And so this beautiful, benevolent team of people, who a lot of them we think have died, but they haven't died, and they're still here and they're still with us. They're helping us to move through these spaces so that we can finally have this uncovering of the lie in totality and step back into who we truly are. And we are very close to that happening, and it's very exciting. It's very daunting. It's going to be very intense, but every aspect of what we do now and what we learn about ourselves, and growing in these spaces, and people who listen to these kind of conversations, you're already doing it in that kind of way, and stepping out and saying, you know what, I'm tired of living in this lie. I'm tired of living in this fabricated, spoon-fed version of that society tells me that I have to be in. Even if it's just involving the food, that's a huge and powerful step to take, to say, okay, we've been lied to about the food. Now what does that mean, and how can I do something about it? And then that starts to uncover the rest of it. But by doing so, you step out and you identify yourself as a leader and a guide in this space as we go through this transition as a whole, as we as a complete as a complete community, the entire collective. We shift away from that lie. Ready or not, it's going to happen, and people who are not ready are going to have a very hard time. And that's up to us to help comfort them and guide them and say, it's okay. We saw this. You didn't want to hear me. You didn't want to listen to me. I'm not going to tell you I told you so. I'm not going to try and rub it in your face. That's not for us to do. They're already going to go through enough of that pain and suffering of just having to come to this realization. But we're going to offer that hand and say, it's okay. I got you. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to be afraid. This is something that we need to go through. So that's a lot of what we talk about as well, and just finding ways to hold that frequency, hold that vibration, hold that space of non-fear. So because that's really the most important aspect, is that we are strong. We have that foundation, and we can't be wavered. So everything's about that.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, is the fear. We can be aware of it, but we don't have to live in the fear of it. Yeah, it's taking our power back, and that's why having the community and others who are on this, who know about this, we can come together. Especially if you're you're a lone wolf out there. You're not on your own. There's many of us. There's thousands of us. Your group's growing exponentially. It's amazing. I love what you do. So if you do want to check out Justin's, all that's in the description box. Reach out to him. He's so supportive, and all of the community as well. They're super, really friendly. You're attracting amazing people in your space. It's great. So thank you for opening that up, and thank you for today. And we end on the be, feel, and stay rawlicious. So are you ready for it? Do it together?
Yeah.
So be, feel, stay,
and stay rawlicious.
Give you a big kiss. Yay! Thank you, Justin.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.